BeastNet podcast, sponsored in part by James Safety Services, OCR Buddy, and supported by the fitness community. Here we discuss all things fitness related, running, rucking, mental health and preparedness, and of course, obstacle course racing. Welcome to the BeastNet.
Hey everybody, it's Mike with BeastNet here, and on this episode I've got with me Nate from Strength Warehouse. Nate, tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
So, my name's Nate. I'm the owner-operator of Strength Warehouse. A competitive power lifter. Been lifting pretty much specifically for powerlifting for the last 10 years. Competing since 2012. I think that's pretty much it. Our gym is a strength gym. We do a lot of strongman and powerlifting stuff. I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're located in Bend, Oregon, right?
Yep, in Bend. Yep, that's true.
I say because I met you at the Rise. Trying to remember, I've done two events with the Rise.
Yeah, it was Battle HD is where you met me.
The Battle HD is where I met you.
Yeah.
So, and that was a fun event, and what I really liked was for you the parts that you helped with the keg lift.
Yep, the deadlift and the kegs.
Yeah, the deadlift and the keg lift. And the keg lift, it was right after I did that, I'm like, where can I find one of these kegs to put in my yard? But
they're hard to find. Some people want money for them. I've scavenged ours off Facebook.
Yeah.
Just posted posts, and all of a sudden I kept on getting all these messages and then filled them with sand. And I was like, all right, these are going to work.
I'd say it was a pretty ingenious idea. I mean, I really liked it. It was an awkward lift.
Yeah.
So I didn't do so great on it because that's been my biggest thing. I've been training a lot in running and haven't been doing a lot of the lifting. So it really opened my eyes to what I need to work on. So it's like, I need one of these because it was a very awkward, but very functional lift. So.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, I really appreciate you guys having us on your podcast. I know this is, strength or powerlifting and strongman isn't like your guys' forte, but when you guys came down and did our events, Rise events and Strength Warehouse came together and, made the Battle HD, it really shined light on our, the people that we have doing it. They're like, we're really good at the strength stuff, but we're not super good at the running and tactical part. And you guys, as obstacle course racers, you're like, we're really good at this, but we're not super good at the strength training. So it kind of opens your eyes to saying, hey, I need to become a more well-rounded athlete instead of just sticking to what I'm good at, So, Tammy and I came together with that event, and it just kicked off, and I hope the best for next year, and hopefully it's even better. And we add some more stuff in there that's going to be fun.
Oh yeah. I'm definitely coming down next year for, at this point I'm planning on coming down for all the events, but because the Rise events puts up some good events. But yeah, the Battle HD, that was my first time doing a Rise event, and I loved it.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. Yeah, I'm glad that we came together with that. We were just sitting there talking about how we could put them together, and we had probably an hour-long conversation of, what we could do to make it, native to Bend. And I was like, hey, let's throw in, some gun shooting, because, she said she had a friend that had, the range.
Yep.
And then the next thing was, let's throw some axes in there. And then, me being like Bend, I was like, let's see if we can get beer out there too. Like all this stuff, that's how Bend is. It's like, if you can't do activities and then pair it with beer, it's just not Bend. Yeah. So we tried, and it just didn't work out because of the legalities with, the shooting range and stuff. But it would have been, that would have been fun. That was our end goal, was to have that. And it may still happen in the future, but
yeah. I mean, I get the little bit of legalities when you start throwing the guns in there, but
yeah, exactly. We're like, let's leave the alcohol out of there for right now, at least.
Yeah, no, it was a really, really fun event. I mean, it was one of those, like I said, the deadlifts, it really showed me, like you said, I'm not a well-rounded athlete. I could do the obstacles, I could climb walls, I could do that, but when it came to lifting heavy, it wasn't my forte because I've been running a lot. The only thing I did good on lifting heavy was that Atlas ball that she had that was just ginormous.
Yeah.
But that was more because once I picked it up, I knew I didn't want to pick it up again. So I'm just going.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, those ones were we had just bought those, and they were pretty much brand new, and they haven't been broken in yet. So they're really slick, and they've been broken in a little bit. We've dropped them a couple times, and little pieces come off of them every now and again, and so they're a little bit better. So next year, if it's in there, it should be a little bit easier to handle or grab onto.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think I've got 4 Atlas balls, but I think the biggest one I have is 80 pounds.
Yeah.
So and that one,
the biggest one we have right now is a 260.
Yeah, I think the one you guys had out there was at like a 100.
Yeah, like 102, 103 pounds, something like that. Yeah, they're never like right on the money. It depends on how much water, whatever gets mixed in with it. But yeah, that's been the 260-pound one is a monster, and very few people can get it off the ground.
I'm sure. I mean, it's one of those things, but like I said, it's kind of like, it really showed me, because I mean, I've got tires to flip, I've got that, so those ones I can do okay. Yeah. But it was just like I said, I mean, I was 285 pounds in February, and I'm 189 now.
Wow. So, yeah.
But that's been mainly running. But I have a coach, and my coach, we've talked about this. It's like, okay, now that I'm down about the weight that I wanted to get to, now it's time to lift heavy.
To build some muscle up.
Build some muscle up. So, because that was one thing, like I said, going to that event, really doing the deadlifts. I mean, I think I got 20. Yeah. And my legs were like, yeah, you're done.
No more for you.
Yeah, no more for you. You're done. And I really wanted the 50, but I just like, I hit the 20, and it was just like, you've been there where you're all of a sudden your muscles just make that, little twinge, and they're like, yeah, no, you're done. It's like, yeah, no, you're right. I'm done.
Yeah. As I get older, I'm definitely feeling that for sure. I turned 35 in January, so I'll be a submasters category for powerlifting. And actually I'm supposed to compete next week. But I don't think it's going to happen because of the lockdowns for the COVID stuff right now. But we'll see. It's going to, the end of the 2-week pause is the 2nd, and my meet is supposed to be the 5th. So I won't know until 3 days prior. I'm still training like I'm going to be doing it, but I just have a feeling that it's probably not going to happen, but we'll see.
Yeah. I know that's one thing I've been looking at. My 43rd birthday is actually the 2nd. So.
Oh, cool. Well, hopefully then we get some good news on the 2nd.
Hopefully, but because I'm planning on, because we're complete. I think we're in Washington, so we're locked down, I think, till the 14th already. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know. I thought they were pretty much on the same page, but pretty close.
I think, I think it's I quit paying attention, honestly, because I just got to that point. It's like I wanted good news, and every time I looked at the news, it was bad. So. Totally. But yeah. But I'm hoping that weekend right after my birthday, I actually want to run my age. So cool. I want to do 43 miles in one shot. So.
Oh man, I would definitely not be able to do that right now, but I'm not adapted to it.
No, but I mean, it's part of those things. So you're lifting for, you're getting ready for a heavy lifting, competition. So a strength competition where usually when you're doing that, there's not a lot of, long distance cardio when you're training that way. So.
No, it's like very specific. On the last couple weeks is extremely mundane, just the same lift. There's nothing else involved in it. It's just getting technically proficient and putting in the volume for that specific lift. That's pretty much, that's how it gets, that's how it is when you're doing powerlifting.
Yeah.
Hopefully next year I want to start doing some strongman stuff, but I've been having a lot of fun doing strongman training. I do have some aspirations to get some powerlifting records, and hopefully in the next 2 or 3 months I'll be able to get those. So that's what I've been really practicing on and focusing and honing down on.
Yeah. Right now for me, it's kind of one of those things, like I said, I've just lost all the weight and tried to get healthy again. So, and I've done obstacle course racing for years, and I'm actually, as long as COVID allows, the first race I'm doing next year, I'm going to actually go for a competitive and try and run it competitively.
Awesome. Good for you.
I don't know if I'll podium, but it's more just a challenge to myself. I just want to see if I can do it. So
that's what I tell all my guys that want to get into competition. I'm like, don't even worry about getting a medal right now or getting on the podiums. Like, just challenge yourself to do it. And you never know, maybe you will, maybe you won't,
Yeah.
You never know unless you try. That's for sure.
This last weekend, I actually PR'd both my half marathon and a 5K.
Awesome.
not really trying to. I just went out and ran, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, that's the fastest I've done. And that's what you find a lot of times when you push yourself to try and do it, you don't. But it's when all of a sudden you're just out there to have fun or do whatever, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh wow, I just beat my time. And that's kind of me on this. If I podium, I podium. I'm not expecting it, but I just want to challenge myself and be better than I was before. So
absolutely,
and
that's all it's about.
That's what it comes down to. So just beating myself,
absolutely,
beating what I've done.
That's what I'm trying to do right now. I'd love to have the records, but I'm just trying to also, PR my lifts on the platform. And I think they're going to be close to some records. And I know once I get into the submasters category, I'm already beating those records right now. And I'm only like literally 2 months away from submasters. So I'm like, okay, if I don't hit my goals on this one, I will for sure hit them on those.
Yeah.
As long as, I stay healthy and stuff and don't hurt myself, then everything should come together. So,
and that's the hard part sometimes is we get focused on trying to, get going. And that's one thing my coach keeps bringing me back, because it's like, I'll just go run. It's become my new like meditation. I'll just go outside and be like, it's like after this, I was thinking of going to run for 5 miles for no other reason than because I had the time. She'll hold me back a little bit going, come on, you're pushing yourself to a point that you're going to injure yourself. And I think that's the hard part, especially like, for you, when you're just getting ready for a competition, you want to be perfect. You want to be the best that you can be when you get there. Yeah. And I've seen a lot of friends, and I've done it myself, where I trained so hard before the event that I was smoked.
Yeah.
By the time the event came around.
Totally. I've got a really good coach right now. Before every single meet I've ever done, I coached myself. Mm-hmm. And I've done pretty well, but not as specific as it is now. I've got a great coach right now, and we had some issues in the very beginning. I tweaked my knee, had some tendonitis, and had to back way off. And then I had to do a bunch of rehab to get it back in there. And then 2 weeks ago, I retweaked it again. So we had to jump all the way back off. And then coming into the last 3 weeks, I've just been, my squat hasn't been there. I was planning on squatting 500. Now my plan is to do like 420-ish. We'll see. Anything above like the 400 mark, I start feeling like that little twinge like you're talking about. And I'm like, okay, do I want to continue to squat, or do I want to hurt myself on this last one? So I don't want to do that. But yeah, having a good coach and having a plan and somebody to like hold you accountable and holding you back from doing stupid things, is absolutely the key, I think, to getting a good, having a good event. So this time, also with open, having a business, and I also work full time as a mechanic, so physically, and I have a 9-year-old daughter that's in online school right now, and a 6-month-old daughter. It's been challenging to get any time in to train. I've been training on weird hours, like at 5 a.m. or 9 p.m. or something weird, because that's the only time I have at the current moment. So this prep has definitely not been 100% on my side, but I'm just going to try to patch it together for the next 2 weeks and see how it goes.
And honestly, sometimes those are the athletes I love to see the most, are the ones that, because you see that, the athletes that do this for a living and stuff like that, it's like they have the ideal situation to train and be ready for it. Where it's when I can fit it in, and that's been kind of, my thing for during this whole time when I've been doing stuff. It's pretty much when I don't have a class, when I'm not teaching, because I'm a safety professional and I teach classes for construction and all that kind of stuff, first aid, CPR, confined space, all that fun stuff. So when I don't have a class and I have time, I can go run, or I can do whatever. I built a small gym in my garage. So because all the gyms around here are closed.
Yep.
Same here. A small gym in my garage, so I can go out in my garage and, do whatever. The big one thing I'm missing though is to be able to lift heavy. I've got a couple bars and maybe I think a total of 200 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty hard to lift heavy if you don't have the weights.
Yeah. So, I mean, I do have a machine. It's an older one, but with the pulleys and stuff, so I can do a little bit more heavy there. Yeah. But the actual like functional heavy, I can't. I've only got like 200 pounds. Yeah. So totally. I need more, but right now weights are expensive.
I know. You cannot find them anywhere.
No.
Yeah, so I get people emailing us, calling us, texting us all day long, every day. Are you selling your weights? Do you have any extra weights? And I'm like, dude, I have some, but I'm not selling them because I use them. I was like, yeah.
So. Well, and it's one of those things too. It's like you might not be using them now, but once the restrictions are lifted, you're hoping to have a full gym again. So,
yeah.
Well,
then I still have I have 1,000 pounds in my garage of plates, but we use them for when we go to events and stuff. I was like, and they're like, you want to sell those? They're like, they're just sitting in your garage. I'm like, absolutely not, because we take them to places like all the weights that we had at Battle HD. That was all for my garage, and they're all beat up, but they work, and they're still 45 pounds or they're still 25 pounds or whatever weights they are, and we don't care if those ones get thrown in the dirt or whatever, so.
And those are the best ones. That's the good thing to have. And a lot of people have that where they see something like, they'll see me. I've got 5 tires in my backyard, different sizes and Atlas balls. And they're like, what, you can't give one of those up? You're not using them right now. No, I'm not using them at the moment.
Yeah, but I will.
I will, and I've got, once all this is over, I plan on, kind of building my own little training grounds in my yard and have friends over and do events, and train and stuff like that. So I want them. I need them, and that's kind of it. I really tried to build up my own kind of, because that's one thing that I hit. I mean, when COVID hit, I just started going to the gym again.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the gym shut down.
Yeah.
And then I ended up actually moving. So I'm not even near my gym anymore. So, and it's kind of like, I have all this equipment I've collected over the years that's gathering dust. And I'm like, why don't I just put it all together and build my own gym in the garage? And I'm like, oh man, that's probably a good idea. So I can continue to do stuff. So that's been my big push, just trying to, keep myself healthy. I keep hearing everyone talk about gaining the COVID-15 or whatever. And I'm like,
not me.
I'm like, this was my year. I've been telling myself for years, I was finally going to drop the weight and get back to healthy. Like I should have been before because I shattered my foot 4 years ago. And, before I was on good pace before I shattered my foot, and then I used my foot as an excuse for 4 years, and finally it's like, okay, it's been 4 years. It's time to stop using my excuse. This is the year I actually finally do it. And then all of a sudden COVID hit and I'm like, well, if I ever wanted an excuse, there it is.
Yeah.
The world just handed me the perfect excuse. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want it. I'm going to continue doing what I did. So it's been interesting though. I mean, and it's hard in some ways, because I mean, I'm sure you've worked really hard to get where you're at, and then you get people all the time that look at you and they're like, I wish I can lose weight like you did, or I wish I could lift like you did. And it's like, it didn't just happen. It's not like all of a sudden I just snapped my fingers and suddenly I dropped weight. No, I've literally worked my ass off. And that's
literally
the hard part. A lot of people, I wish I could. And it's like, everyone's different. The weight loss that I had, I don't think I could redo it. I don't think I could do it a second time. It was just, everything hit perfectly. I mean, I've lost 98 pounds in less than 10 months.
That's awesome, man. Good for you. That's killer.
And it's not
so much weight.
It is. And it's almost unhealthy, honestly. I mean, it was so close. Even my doctor was like, made me like tell her exactly what I was doing. She's like, because this doesn't seem healthy. It's too fast.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I actually did it healthy. I'm not starving myself. I'm eating what I should be eating. I'm just a lot of exercise on top of that because I have the time.
Yeah.
Not everybody has that. But I mean, everybody has to have their own wins.
Totally.
And that's kind of the one thing. I had someone tell me once on one of the episodes, say, your journey starts now. No matter what you did yesterday, you can't change. If you failed yesterday, that was yesterday. If you won yesterday, that was yesterday. Your journey starts again today. It starts right now, and just keep looking forward and keep doing the best that you can. So,
yeah. Success is your rent is due every day.
Yep.
You cannot, there's no, you just got to keep on going at it. And, just like you said, like whatever you did yesterday doesn't count for today. You got to keep on going today and into the future.
Does your business need first aid, AED, OSHA, flagging, or other safety training? James Safety Services is your one-stop shop. Find them on Facebook today at James Safety Services WA and ask for a quote on hosting your training needs.
You've got the Strength Warehouse. So how is that as a gym? Is it a full functional gym? or mainly based on just, powerlifting?
Oh, it's actually, yeah, it's a full functioning gym. We have, mostly, free weights. We have a bunch of squat racks, power racks and benches, and we have some cable machines, leg presses, deadlift platforms, just a bunch of, a bunch of just regular strongman implements. We got yoke and sandbags, heavy sandbags, and Atlas stones, kegs, dumbbells up to 150 pounds. But yeah, it's we're 24 hours, so people can just come in and do whatever they want to do. We have cardio equipment and stuff as well. It's mostly, our forte is strength and powerlifting, and strongman, but we do all sorts. Like I just ran this morning outside. It was outside, like a boot camp class. So
Cold.
it was cold. It was 30. Actually, I think it was 28 degrees outside. But we just bundled up and put beanies on and hats. And once people start going, they're actually warm, and I'm cold because I'm standing around. But we all just stand. We have a big parking lot out back, so I space everybody out, 15, 20 feet apart. And everybody's wearing their masks like they're supposed to and stuff. But yeah, just boot camp. I do a lot of boot camp stuff, and we do functional training as well, personal training, stuff like that. But yeah, our forte is powerlifting. We do, we run events throughout the year, powerlifting events.
Well, and see, that's cool. It's one of those things because I've been to a couple gyms around here. The one that I was using over where I used to live was really good. They were kind of, similar to what you had, a lot of powerlifting stuff, but then they had the other stuff to go with it. So it was kind of like you could do the powerlifting, but then at the other side, you could do, they also had kind of a CrossFit base and stuff like that, but it was very functional for whatever. And that's exactly. Kind of the hard part that I've had is that there's a couple gyms around here that are very focused on one spot.
Totally.
And it's like, I want to do that, but I don't feel comfortable paying a membership when there's like 3 other things I want to do that I can't do at your gym.
Yep.
So, and that's why it's really good to see one where they have you have your niche. Yep. This is what we want to do. This is what we like to do, but we understand that this stuff kind of needs to be done too. So we're going to have this over here, so that you can do everything you want. So, and it works good too. Cause if I want to go lift heavy, my wife can go with me and jump on a treadmill.
Yep.
Because she's going to want the cardio.
We have treadmills and bikes and rowers and stuff too. So it's not like, and powerlifters are, inadvertently, they just want to do their lifts. They don't want to do anything else. And so our basic, we do classes as well. Like that's what our forte is, classes. Mm-hmm. So we do like boot camp, barbell training, functional movement, and then powerlifting classes. But they're all like a hybrid. There's never just one, like we're just doing powerlifting. It's like we do a cross between, functional movements, powerlifting, and some cardio. It's cross training to be exact, and hybrid cross training. But our guys are mostly well-rounded. They don't do a lot of running, but they're mostly well-rounded athletes. And, I think that shows when we go to events. They're like, oh man, these powerlifters actually can run, or these powerlifters are, can do a clean, or, they can do a heavy box or a high box jump or whatever. They're not just squat, bench, deadlift.
Yeah. And that's, like I said, that's one thing I've seen it a couple times. I've got a couple friends that are very, focused on one thing and powerlifting, stuff like that. And it was, it's funny to watch them and they'll be like, okay, I can do one of your workouts. And then they try and do it and they're dropping dead. And I'm like, I can't lift where you lift, but you can't keep up with me either. So It's like, we're not, it's hard to work out with some of those guys because it's like we have completely different goals on where we're going. Yeah. But it's good to see someone who's well-rounded. Does everyone need to be able to run a marathon? No. But having a little bit of cardio to go with it's always good. So
should you be able to run a mile? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Without dying. Yeah, that's, and then when you get into like a powerlifting peak, like right now, my coach is like, there's basically 5 minutes of cardio just to warm up. And that is it. Like, I'm so specific right now, but if earlier on in the prep, it's more lax, obviously we're doing other stuff. Once it gets to the pinnacle where I'm like, this is where I need to be, there's like, very little other other things going on except for those like very little. So, but it's a short period of time. It's not like I'm going for months and months and months doing this. It's like maybe a 3-week period where I'm like specific.
And that one, it's, like you said, it's specific because it's like the event happens in 3 weeks. So you have to, it's like with anything you're doing. Like right now, I'm getting ready to take some tests for college and I'm focusing on, just those classes because those are the tests I'm taking. And that's kind of thing, with your event. This is what I need to be able to do at the event.
Yep.
The other stuff I do for health reasons and, to make sure that I'm an all around athlete. But at this event, this is what I need to do. So this is what I need to focus on for this period of time. And that's, I get that. I mean, that makes perfect sense, but it's, like you said, you want to be a well-rounded athlete for health reasons,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, totally.
Nice.
It's like, for you as if you're going to run a marathon, you're not going to be trying to max out your deadlift 2 weeks before you go for a marathon. Absolutely not. No. that sounds like a terrible idea.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. It does, but I mean, like I said, one thing when I did the Battle HC, it really showed me that I do need to work on my lifts. So, and that's one thing my trainer's been having me do, work on more body weight stuff. Right now, I have a pull-up machine and stuff, and do that with a pull-up bar with weight and stuff like that, so I can do other stuff, body weight stuff, until I can get to a gym really and start lifting really heavy. But
really,
if that
do what you got to do, take what you can right now.
Yep.
I get a lot of my guys that are coming in and doing our boot camps that are power lifters. They're like, this sucks. And I was like, yeah, it does, of course. But as being a human, you have to adapt to everything that gets thrown your way. And 95% of the time, you don't have the option of not doing it. So it's like, this is a great opportunity. It sucks. I don't want to be closed. I don't want to not do what I want to do, but that's life. Sometimes you just got to adapt and make the best of it and become better at something else. And then when you come back, you're better at all things or better at a couple of different things, and rest. I know a lot of guys when they're lifting and stuff, they're like, oh, I can't rest. I'm like, you know what? Sometimes if you rest a couple of weeks, you come back and you feel better. So, those little nagging injuries have gone away, or your CNS is actually, online now. It's not completely smoked. So, hopefully it only lasts 2 weeks, but those kind of little things that like adapting, you have to be able to adapt to anything that's thrown your way. So
adapt and move forward. And that's just kind of it. And it's tough sometimes. Cause like you said, it's like with an injury, when you have an injury, too many times, and I'm guilty of it. And it's one of the reasons I got up to 285 pounds was because I had an injury and I used that as an excuse to sit on the couch and eat potato chips.
Yep.
Rather than continuing my diet the way I should have and find another way to do cardio, because I couldn't run, but I could still do push-ups, with, 1 foot. I could still do pull-ups. There's so many things I could have still been doing.
Yeah.
But I just chose, instead of adapting, I gave up. And that's one of the things that I really hope people understand. There's options. You can give up or you can adapt and change and do things differently. So, it's good to hear that, you guys are, like I said, hopefully, on December 2nd, they lift and you can open the gym back up.
Yep.
Next time I'm down in Bend, I definitely want to come down and check it out. And
absolutely. Yeah.
So anything else you want to tell anyone while we're here? And,
I guess, my biggest thing is for people that are wanting to get into powerlifting and stuff is, just give it a shot. You can't know how you'll do without giving it a shot. And maybe you'll do really well and, maybe you'll just do mediocre, but trying something new is going to, again, make you adapt into something, and who knows what kind of doors it'll open up in the future. I have a kid right now who's 16 who came to us, and he's, I was like, well, how long have you been lifting for? He's like, oh, about a month. And then within 6 months, he's already doing national and unofficial world records. And I'm like, and it's like, he's a 16-year-old kid squatting 600 pounds. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you've only been squatting and lifting and deadlifting for a couple of months, before he came to us. And now it's, I guess it's been about a year now since he's been with us. But yeah, it's just absolutely crazy. And so, and then I have other kids that come in, younger kids, they really want to be strong, and they get frustrated when the weights aren't coming up, or, whatever, they're plateauing. And some of them give up and some of them get super frustrated. I'm like, man, it's a process. Not everybody can do national records in a year.
Yeah.
You know, it's taken me, I've been lifting for, 14 years and I don't even have any records. It's just one of those things. It's, not everybody gets to that level, but try something new. You never know what kind of opportunities will come from that. So I guess that's pretty much all I would say for anybody that's, advice wise. Be patient, trust the process, and just give it everything you got.
And that is so true. I mean, it's one of those things like I was mentioning earlier where I've lost so much so quick. That's not normal.
Yeah, not everybody.
Compare yourself. Like you said the one kid that within a year he's getting national records. That's not normal. And I think that's where a lot of people make the mistake. They look at someone who's done something just dramatic, and they're like, I can't keep up with that. No, you can't.
Yeah,
but that doesn't mean you need to give up. That means keep going, keep the process. Because I may have dropped that really quick, but like we were talking about, I'm functional for running.
Yeah,
I'm not functional for lifting. There's certain things that I gave up to be able to lose that quickly. I gave up, the strength and stuff like that to, lose the weight, but then I'm going to build the strength back later. But it's one of those that don't compare yourself to others.
Exactly.
Just
only
do the
compare
best
yourself
that you
to
can.
yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You can aspire to be like somebody else, but you can never you can never compare yourself to them because you are not them and they are not you.
No.
And you may have something that they don't, that they aspire to have.
Yeah. Because like right now, I aspire to lift like he does, but
yeah, me too.
Yeah. Well, so there's always, I mean, even, someone who's doing great. I mean, they're still aspiring to be as good as somebody else. So, I mean, we all have our goals that we want to get to, and just make sure the other thing is once you hit your goal, make a new one.
Exactly. Yeah. I was just going to mention that, like always having something to look forward to and not just wishing you had the end result. Learn to love the process.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's ultimately what life's about. Like if you just had your goal whenever you snap your fingers, like how cool would that be? Like it's the process and learning and figuring it out and getting past plateaus and having an injury, having a setback. Those are the things that like really make life like awesome and worth living, and being able to figure stuff out. Like if you just had everything at your fingertips, like that doesn't sound very cool to me.
No.
You get bored. You get bored and you throw it away, and you get bored and you throw it away. Like figuring it out, like that's where it's at.
Yeah, figuring it out. And I mean, the hard work. I mean, it's one of those things you remember. It's one of those things, I'll be honest, I post on Facebook constantly about my PRs and all of that. And everyone's like, what, are you trying to make us all feel bad? I'm like, no, honestly, this is for me.
Yeah.
So then a year when my Facebook memory comes up and I'm like, oh, look at that.
Yeah.
This is where I was at a year ago. So it can either be one, it's either going to be motivation to say, look, I can get back there, or, hey, look how far I've come. This is where I was a year ago. Now look where I'm at, exactly. And that's why I do it. It's so that I have it's my measuring stick.
Yep.
So in a year, I can see where I was at and be like, look what I've done in a year. So,
yep.
Yeah.
It's much more rewarding to work for something than it is to just have it given to you. So, and I think a lot of kids these days, and a lot of people, I'm guilty of it too, scrolling through Instagram or Facebook, and you see all these people that are just massively strong or massively in shape or whatever. And you're like, well, that it makes you feel bad a little bit. And you're like, man, I've been lifting for 10 years and these kids lifting double what I am, and they're only been doing it for a year, but it's like, you don't see their process. You just see their highlight reel. And, but yeah, you just got to learn to love the process, whether good or bad, period. Yeah. If you don't, you always be looking for something else. If you don't figure out how to love your process.
Yeah. And that is so true, is the process. A lot of people don't see that. They don't see my process. They see my wins on Facebook. Yep. They don't see my process. They don't see the struggle. I have people all the time saying, I wish I had your willpower. I'm like, you have to understand, every morning when I get up to go run, I come up with 15 excuses on why I shouldn't.
Yep, exactly.
But I have to fight those excuses and still do it. I have to fight myself to do it a lot of times. It's not as much anymore. It's kind of gotten to me now. It's something I do. If I don't run, I don't feel right.
Yeah.
So, but it's something easy to get back out of. I've done it before where I ran every day, and then all of a sudden an injury takes me out. And then after 2 weeks of not being able to run, I'm like, I don't want to do it. and people don't see those processes, you know, and that's one thing I've learned doing this podcast, where I've talked to people that you see that are in amazing shape. And for whatever reason in your brain, you're like, oh, well, they've just been in amazing shape their entire life, and it just comes natural to them. And then all of a sudden you talk to them and you're like, wait, you've gone through all of this. You were, 250 pounds and a drunk smoker, and now all of a sudden you're this. Oh, and you learn. We see people, like you said, we see your wins. We don't see what you come from. And a lot of people who are really healthy, they don't want to think about what they used to be. So those pictures and all that stuff isn't on their Facebook.
I actually post at least once a month a fail, something that I like a struggle or something. Like if you go through my Instagram or my Facebook, there's wins, but there's also, I post videos and pictures where it didn't go my way, and I felt like crap, but I still did what I could. And then I look at those, just like you look at your Facebook memories. You're like, oh yeah, that was a win. I also go back and be like, remember that time that you struggled really freaking hard to get into the gym, but you still did it? Or remember that time that you attempted to lift a PR, but you missed? Those are the types of things that I like to do as well. So it shows other people that, hey, it's not all glory over here. It's not all wins. And for me, myself, it's like, hey, you lost that one time, but you got back up and you did it again. So, and you see those memories. And so I think that's a great thing that some people do. I don't know about everybody, but I definitely started doing that this last, probably about 1.5 years. I started doing that.
That's a bad idea.
It's the real stuff, and those are the types of people, those are the types of things that show other people that, hey, Nate made 20 excuses on the way to the gym why he didn't want to lift heavy, but he still did it anyway. Or you made 15 excuses this morning. Make a small little, Snapchat, Instagram video of all your excuses, and then be like, nope, not taking those I'm going to go run anyway and do it,
It's not a bad idea. I like that. That's a pretty good one. So, yeah. All right. Well, before we head out, let everyone know, where can we find you? I mean, I know you're in Bend, but what are where you can find you in Bend, your website, Instagram, all that fun stuff.
Cool. So Strength Warehouse Bend on Instagram or Facebook. BendStrengthWarehouse.com is our website. And we're in Bend. If you're ever in Bend, just Google us and it'll take us right to our front door. I just got off the Google, they had our pin all weird. So everybody was taking us to the back parking lot, but I finally got that figured out. So it'll literally take you to our front door, which I really like. I like that.
Nice. Yeah,
I really appreciate you having me on today. I really appreciate you going out of the way and making this happen. And I hope to see you guys real soon.
Yeah, like I said, next time I'm in Bend, I'll definitely be checking it out. And I plan on being down in Bend for all the Rise events next year. Cool. Hopefully you're going to be part of the Battle HD again.
Absolutely. Yeah. We were just her and I were just talking about that the other day, about what we wanted to do to make it better this year. So we'll definitely be there for sure. And then we have a couple of powerlifting meets coming up this year. We don't have exact dates, but I know May and July will be our months for having meets, as long as everything's allowed to happen. We did run 2 powerlifting meets as well this last year in COVID, and it was touch and go each time. It was like days, just like the one I'm going to. It's like the day of, we had no idea we were actually going to be able to do it, but we did it. It was rough, but hopefully 2021 is way better than that.
I'm hoping. I really hope so, because this is getting old.
It is getting old real fast.
It's tough, because I had never realized what a social person I was until all of a sudden I couldn't be social.
Exactly.
That's what I loved about the Rise events. I mean, I think partly what made me love them even more is I finally got to be social.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I look forward to seeing you again.
Cool.
At the next event, and thank you for coming on with me. This was a blast.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, man. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Nate.
Later.
Thanks for listening to the BeastNet podcast. If you haven't done it yet, find us on Facebook, like and share the podcast. Give us a review on iTunes or Spotify. All these things will help to expand the show in the future. Don't forget to subscribe and let us know what you think and what you'd like to hear.